Hey guys, welcome to our Thursday night book club. We are doing Atomic Habits chapters, I believe, 15 and 16. Tonight we're talking about the cardinal rule of behavior change. So in the beginning of the chapter, he talks a little bit about a few different companies and products where, he talks about how a lot of it wasn't enjoyable. So people just weren't doing it. The hand washing. So they made soap more enjoyable, which, it's kind of funny to think about, like that's how we've always known it. But he goes on to talk about having toothpaste that has a better minty flavor. More people are likely to keep it and keep using it. And as far as gum goes, like it used to be kind of just didn't have a taste, So making things enjoyable so you actually want to use them or do them. So he says the fourth law of behavior change is make it satisfying. So we are more likely to keep doing something if it's satisfying. It's just how we are made. It's how we're wired. He talks a little bit about instant gratification and how nowadays the way we are expecting that instant gratification. Think about Amazon. Think about when something takes longer than 2 or 3 days to get to our house. We're like, what the heck? Why is this taking so long? Like, it is just how we are. And it's the day and age we're in. And unfortunately, this can really just mess with our businesses and our habits. And when we're not seeing those instant results, sometimes if you don't have that long-term vision, which ideally we should have, right? It's just hard to keep track. So he's going to talk about how to take advantage of knowing these things and help it with these habits. So he says, make many choices today will not benefit you immediately. Exercise, clean eating, training kids, saving money. Think about all of those things. They're not instantly satisfying. So if you don't have like the end goal, in sight, you're going to lose track of that and you're never going to follow through with forming those habits. So he even talks about how most of us value the present more than the future. Let's see. So I'm going to get back to reading what I was reading here. So let's see. So I had a couple of notes written down on 189, like he talks about, when you're coming up with these habits and all that, you're making plans for your future self. So that really comes into having a really strong why and, knowing where you're going and why you're going there. So as a general rule, he says, the more immediate pleasure you get from an action, the more strongly you should question whether it aligns with your long-term goals. Okay. So think about it. Like if you're getting instant gratification from scrolling social media aimlessly, from eating whatever you want, usually it's not going to line up with your goal. And I really loved what he said about that because it's so true. He says, what is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. So you want to reward the good things that you're doing and punish the bad, basically. So he says how to turn instant gratification to your advantage. The vital thing in getting a habit to stick is to feel successful. So you want to make sure you are rewarding yourself for doing those things that you have said that you're going to do. Early on, it's always a sacrifice. Sorry, I hear a kid crying. Story of my life. Okay, so my husband's dealing with it. Okay, so he talks about this is why rewards are essential. They keep you excited while the delayed rewards accumulate in the background. So he talks about the best approach to use is called reinforcement, which refers to the process of using an immediate reward to increase your rate of behavior. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to remember what your identity is too also. What are you, someone who gets up early? Are you someone who does their IPA when they say so? Stuff like that is so important. I love his points where he talks about, you know, a lot of times, like when you have financial goals, stuff like that, you can't really see the benefits of saving that money sometimes. But he said, you know, to open a savings account and name it new leather jacket. And every time you say no to Netflix, say no to buying random things that you don't need, put it in that account. So that was really, really good to do. I know a lot of us, I mean, we're women, we like to buy things. So I really liked that idea to help save money. And he says that change is easy when it's enjoyable. So make sure that you are making it enjoyable to do everything you're trying to do. Okay. What else? Let's see. Okay, going on to chapter 16, guys. Okay, so he talks in chapter 16 about how to stick to good habits. So a lot of this makes sense. You know, I was just talking to Natalie today and I was like, I thought you were doing this because the book club, it totally fits in, you know. She was posting every day, like on her Instagram, that she had made it to the gym. So having that visual track of, I did this on these days, and seeing that makes such a difference in your goals. And he even talks about how people who like success rates, like people are more likely to be successful when they've kept track of their progress. So it's one thing to make a goal and it's one thing to have that written out and work towards that. But if you're not tracking it, you can't really see where you're going. And that's why progress pictures, I know they're kind of silly. I was telling my husband that he was taking a progress picture because he started working out again. And he's like, I feel really dumb doing this, but I took a progress picture. I'm like, I think you should. I think you should take all the progress pictures because then you can see where you're going. And it's so encouraging to see like the gains you've made, you know? Okay. So anyways, so he talks about some things that you can do to track your habits. Food journaling. He talks about the paperclip idea, which that could even be a really good idea for your kids too. Like I think having those visualizations really help a lot of people, you know, get through things. So workout logs, but the biggest thing is a habit tracker. And he talks about how Benjamin Franklin recorded his stuff at the end of each day. You know, let's see. So, okay, Benjamin Franklin. And then I love the quotes from his goals, like lose no time and then be always employed in something useful. Like that is really good advice, I feel like. So I kind of wanted to look up that once I was done with this. Okay, so he said habit tracking is powerful because it leverages multiple laws of behavior change. It simultaneously makes a behavior obvious, attractive, and satisfying. Obviously, if you're keeping track of things and you're writing things down, it's right in front of you and it's satisfying to see that progress. Let's see. He also says it's super important to keep track of that because we have a distorted view of our own behavior. And I think for the work that we do, we're on social media working. Sometimes that can be distracting. Before you know it, you're looking at a dress for convention. And while it's a work trip, like that's like not going to make you money. So it's super important to write down what you're actually doing. And so if you put a check mark down for what you did for work, maybe you should write down the details of what you did for that work so that you don't, you know, actually feel like you were working, but really you were just shopping accidentally. I've done that. Okay. So you get done with the work and you feel like you worked all day, but did you? So keep track of actual details on what your work was. He talks about how the restaurant, like how they could say like they had this amount of customers every day, but he said the better way to look at that is like, okay, what were they giving good tips? What were the amount of customers who finished their meal? So make sure you're keeping track of the right things so that you're not just like, okay, yep, I worked out today, or yep, I did this. Like keep track of those very like niched goals you have so that you're getting, you know, the full effect from that. Okay, so a couple more things. So he says, let's see. So the reason the habit tracking is so important says because it makes it obvious. Number two, he says it makes it attractive. Small wins will feed that desire. It makes it satisfying to watch your progress, and it keeps your eye on the prize. Oh, I really, really liked his points on basically having that all or nothing cycle. And I've been totally known to be like this. Like if I can't do something like all the way, and I know like maybe my kids are going to interrupt a workout, whatever it is, I will just be like, oh, I can't do it. I don't want to be interrupted, whatever. So don't have that all or nothing mindset. That is something I definitely learned from this chapter, and am going to implement that because like, that's so me. So instead of doing that, like just knowing that, you know, something is better than nothing when it comes to that. And you don't want to have that mentality because life is just never going to be perfect. Unfortunately, I've come to realize, so you don't want to have that mindset because it will definitely come in between you and your goals. So you want to have, you want to make sure that you are doing the hard things on the days that aren't perfect. And honestly, that is more gratifying a lot of times than doing things when it's easy. Okay. Because anyone can, he says in here, anyone can do a workout when it's easy, but it's when it's hard that it's important. And then I also loved where he talks about what to do when you have a downward spiral or whatever he calls it. You know, when you miss a day, he says that's not the problem when you miss a day. It's when you miss the second day that starts a new habit of not showing up. So it's super important not to just be like, oh, I already ate pizza, so now I'm going to eat a cheeseburger tonight, even though I've been trying to eat healthier, you know? So it's important to, even if you have those days where you don't show up the way you wanted to, not to keep it going just because you did the one day and so forth. All right, guys. Okay. So that's what I have. And then we have some questions for you tonight. Can't wait to hear what everyone thinks of this chapter and if you loved it. But here's the first question. Name a time you used reinforcement to help form a habit or get something done, or what can you use as reinforcement to help form a new habit?
So I'll go really quick. This is a while ago, but my first like thing that helped me start working out consistently, this was like when I was like 16, so it's been a while. But every time I did a workout that lasted more than 30 minutes, I rewarded myself with a glass of chocolate milk. And it's super small, but like that is what got me working out at 16 years old, was making my glass of chocolate milk after I worked out. And so that was my reward at the end, and I looked forward to it every time. So I've been using this this idea of rewarding after finishing a project for a while, and it definitely works. So
I love that. And looking back at certain things, it's like it totally does work because like a lot of us have done these things without even trying sometimes.
Okay, so a couple times. So my gym just opened a cafe in the gym. So I've been going to the gym, and like this week it's been a little bit hard because of, you know, whatever, and whatever reason, multiple reasons. But on the days when I didn't want to go, I was like, well, if I go, then afterward I'll reward myself with the avocado toast. Or today I got the kale, spinach, pineapple juice stuff, whatever. And so like that actually did motivate me. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get a little treat after. It's gonna be like a healthy treat. It's gonna be like my breakfast, but I'm gonna get there. And so yeah, I really like that. Like, so I might need to do something at home instead of doing that every single time, but like a little like special something.
I love that. I mean, it really does, like, I don't know, something about giving yourself something to look forward to. Like, so when I'm trying to eat like healthier throughout the week, I do give myself like one day and I'm like, we're going to have something good on Friday night. Like, I know he says in the chapter, he said like, make sure it actually aligns with your goal, but I'm like, as long as it's not too bad, we'll be okay.
I haven't really rewarded myself in any particular way. Like my reward for working out is I like my body. My reward for spending time in the sun is I'm not complaining how white I am. But I like to get my work done first. And I know we talked about that a couple weeks ago, but my reward was being able to like, okay, if I get up on time, then I get to work out. If I do not get up on time, I don't get to work out. And then I'm disappointed in myself because I didn't get to do what I know I needed to do in order to not complain when I put on the skirt that looks not so good because it's extra tight or whatever. So I guess I reward myself in a different way, like work, and then I get to eat. Like I'm not going to stop until this pantry is finished because I have a really bad habit of starting something and not finishing it. So I don't let myself move on to the next thing. Nope, you're going to finish the laundry. Put the laundry away. Then you get to go eat. So I guess that's kind of a reward, but it's not really like you get cake or something. You get your tuna fish sandwich.
We were talking about that the other day, Fal, and yeah, I think, well, you, me, but she was saying about the working out thing, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this because I like to time block, but summer, like, it's just crazy with the kids, and stuff was like all over the place. So I was like, okay, if I don't get up at this earlier time, I'm not gonna get my workout in, and I'm gonna tell y'all, it's painful. And I'm like, oh, can't work out. And I'm like, dang it, it worked though. Like, it's disciplining me that, okay, I need to get up that hour early, or whatever it's time blocked for that day, so that I can reward myself for that, because I want to feel good, because it was, it gets to the point where your day gets crazy and then you're not doing the stuff that you need to get done or want to get done. And so this was a good chapter about rewarding yourself in any aspect of your life. It works.
I would say for mine, can you guys hear me? Because I've got my headphones on. Okay. For me, what I've been doing recently to push myself to do IPA and be consistent with it, and this goes back to what you were saying, Courtney, like you can get lost in scrolling social media, and that's me. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just wasted an hour. What was I even doing? I got nothing accomplished. And now I'm like backtracked on all the things. So my reward is I do my IPA and then I get to scroll social media. And it has been so, like, it feels so good because I'm like, I did what I had to do. And now like scrolling social media just feels so much more rewarding than usually like just the mindless scrolling. So I'm like, I did it.
I love that. It's so true. And then you don't have the anxiety and the guilt of like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be working, like, honestly. And then having that gives you more problems. And then you don't want to do your work because you're stressed because you didn't work. Like, it just makes more sense to get the hard things done first and the things you're committed to. And you just get to do whatever you want without the pressure and guilt and stress. Okay, next question. Name a time that delayed gratification has paid off for you. So like, like knowing what you're working towards and sticking with it and going for it. Does anyone have a good one? I know for a lot of us, this business is a lot of groundwork beforehand. Like, not everybody arrives right away. Not everybody hits silver in their first month. I mean, Celeste Quinn, like, she took like a long time to hit silver and she's really successful. So, I mean, just knowing, like, I feel like for me, like, I've always trusted the process. I've always just been like, I'm going to put in the work, and I know that, the rewards come. So.
Yeah, for sure. In the business, I mean, I'd say making Emerald was delayed gratification, but Sabrina was delayed gratification because I talked to her about the products for a year and she totally ignored me. Like, wouldn't even engage in conversation about the products. But then I would bring up like her kids or whatever and everything would be fine. And then I'd slip this in and she'd ignore me again. So point being, I stuck with it, trusted the process. I know that Sabrina should get you, but it was worth it.
Yo, I talked to Holly for like years and years and years. Yeah, like 3 years. I knew she would be good at it. Look at her. She's on book club now. This is my delayed gratification.
I was sitting here thinking about our products, the reset, as I'm drinking my soup right now at this hour. I'm like, it's gonna be worth it. Oh gosh, y'all. This is my second one, and my husband, he's so funny. I have to tell you a quick story, but he labeled his box with his name because he's doing it right now too. He's like, I don't want you to eat any of mine. I'm like, okay, we got this. Tomorrow's our last day. We're on day 2, y'all. So I mean, I feel pretty good, so that's good. But I'm like, I'm getting there, and I think I'm going crazy. So definitely the products and the reset, and coming from someone that detoxed really bad with the products, like, and Fallon knows the story, like 9 months of detox for me, there was a lot of delayed gratification there. So sticking with the products, knowing to troubleshoot prospects, going into all of that, so important. So
I think with delayed gratification, and this business is so much delayed gratification because you do have to trust the process a lot. You have to really believe in your end goal. It's not like you can go and sign up 2 people and you're done. Like, your goal is so big and you don't know when you're going to get there. So that's kind of a mind game with people. But the key is knowing that you will get there eventually. So that belief, like, we sold our house that we built, and one of these days I'll build another one, and we have 100 acres and it's a lot of work. And almost daily I'm like, oh my gosh, why did we do this? I could be living in my nice dream home that I sold on a boat on a lake. Instead we did this. And Caleb's like, it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it, babe. And you really have to tell yourself that every day in the business too. Like, yes, I know it's going to be worth it. It is hard right now, but this is why I'm doing it. And this is why it's important to me. And having that why is so important. It really is what gets you through the hard times.
Anyone else on that one? I have a third question for everybody. Okay, if you have thoughts on it and you want to think about it, you can always answer that one after this one. But what's one habit you plan to start tracking, and how are you going to track it? For me, it's working out. I've been like, I mean, my baby is 4 months old now, so I really just need to get with it. So I worked out today and I wrote it on my planner page. I put a W for worked out, and I'm gonna keep it up. Natalie inspired me to be fit.
I really enjoy seeing things like complete. So I've been researching habit trackers, and it's an app that I have found. And not only is it like you can track all your habits, and it creates like a bar graph, and like you can click complete when you're done, and it makes it like different colors. It's pleasing for the eye, but it's gratifying because you get to see like you're completing it. But it also has affirmations in it. It also has like Zen memes in it. It's like a whole thing to just boost your confidence and boost your gratitude. And it's a really nice app to have. So I like to click that complete button at the end of the night and then see all my bar graphs at the end. So I know I've done everything. And that's what, from working all the way to working out. So I can track everything. And it's really nice to have.
I just figured out something on my phone. I have an Android, unlike a lot of you people in there. And I love my Android, but it's with my calendars. Sabrina has been, telling me how I need to put stuff in my calendar and have it where it will notify me. And it's so tedious to me. I mean, I'm lucky if I put my next nail appointment in there, but I have found this new thing with it. Apparently it's always been there, where I tell it, I want to work out so many days a week. It looks at what I'm doing. I want to do IPA 2 times a day. I want to work for, my nonprofit so many hours, and it places it. It sort of goes by my previous calendar, I guess, and puts it in and notifies me. Some of them I have as tasks, so I can hit done, and it just like puts a line through it, which is really, I don't know, it's so simple, but it's exciting to see that I've done something. But so yeah, I'm not sticking to everything like clockwork yet, but I have if you saw my calendar, it is completely full. So that's the start for me. So I'm excited.
I mean, I think just filling out an IPA sheet is a form of it's you tracking. And so when he was talking about how like some people have some resistance towards tracking because it really is an extra habit that you're tacking on, that really made a lot of sense to me. I'm like, oh, this is why some people kind of resist or like don't even do that. And I feel like I have been like that, but I just went out and bought a printer so that I could don't clap. Okay. I just bought a printer so that I could start doing that, because I talk about how gratifying it was for me as I like got momentum in my business the first, couple of years. And then I kind of just started doing, writing it in my planner and doing it. But I'm like, no, I want to start filling out a sheet because I felt so good. I felt so good filling out those sheets and like looking at it. And that's how I felt successful. It wasn't the results. It was the fact that I did the sheet. And so, I mean, that's how you make it through, in my opinion. So I bought a whole really nice printer for this.
I love it. I print out like 30 IPA sheets at the beginning of the month because you can't lie. It's a stack of sheets and they should be getting smaller on one side. And so it's like right in front of you. I went old school and I've been highlighting on my planner, like as I've gotten stuff done. I remember I did that when I was like a little kid, and it looks so good to see all the colors across the dates. It's like, I'm gonna go back to what worked when I was 7. It's just highlight it.
Okay, I was not ever highlighting anything in a planner at 7. So
Okay, that's a whole other
no.
problem.
So yeah, don't reinvent the wheel, Tova. Stick with that.
I love it. And if you print out the IPA sheets, then you can keep track of exactly what you did. So it's a very, like you talked about, being specific about tracking your stuff. So I feel like that is ideal for sure.
So going back to your last question about delayed gratification, something that I've seen is in my personal growth and in my leadership development. I've put a lot of time into, podcasts and reading and book club and all the things. And even when you hear the information, it doesn't register right away. It's through evaluating that podcast or that book and then implementing, which becomes insight, and then it's lived out as you practice it some more. And so I feel like I've seen that delayed gratification, in my personal growth, and it does take time, even though we all want to be a lot further along than we are, or whatever. But doing the small things every day and then practicing it and implementing it, you see that pay off hugely. So
Yep, so true. And every time you it was so funny. I read this book or the chapters twice, and there were different things I literally picked up the second time I read it. So you can never do too much personal growth. I mean, I read these 2 days in a row the same day. I was like, oh, that's something I totally missed that. I'm gonna underline that though. So All right, guys. Well, it is 9:30. Anybody else? Last call. All right. Well, we will be back next week. The chapters, I looked at them. They look really, really good. So I'm kind of excited for next week. All right, guys. See you later.